It is exactly 2 weeks ever since the executive order number 2 was passed to evict the balalo out of northern Uganda by His Excellency the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, which stated that the balalo should leave northern Uganda in 2 weeks, and it was the army to let the balalo out of northern Uganda. Now, today he tweets saying that he has seen the misinformation that has been moving on social media as per his social media manager. So he writes today again 9 points explaining what he said in his executive order and what he meant to say. Leave your opinions in the comment section about what he said as I read for you this letter. Ugandans, especially the Bazukulu, greetings. My social media manager has drawn my attention to the lies and distortions on social media about the issue of the balalo in northern, northeast, northwestern, and eastern Uganda. The mistakes of the balalo in those areas were the following. 1. Okwonesa, cattle or other livestock grazing on other people's crops. Is that part of patriotism of a united Ugandan? Is that part of freedom of movement of Ugandans within Uganda? 2. The Okwonesa, livestock eating people's crops, comes from introducing cattle in an area where there are no sengenge, which is the barbed wire, good barbed wires, or even chain links or timber to deal with the goats. 3. Even those who may have fenced, they may not have permanent water sources on the farm, boat or rented. Hence, in dry season, they move out to look for water, and hence Okwonera people, livestock eating people's crops. 4. Then, there is fencing carelessly by blocking people's routes to the Nile River or other public facilities. 5. The issue of non-actually or northerners legally owning land in the north comes last. It is this one that should involve lawyers. Which land did you, the Mulalo, buy or rent? Was it communal land, fraudulently sold or rented by a few people, or was it private land? The legality of land ownership, however, is not immediate irritant. Whether you legally bought or rented the land, you have no right to Okwonesa people your livestock grazing on people's crops, nor do you have the right to block people's access routes. Regardless, the Okwonesa, that is why the removing of cattle and other livestock that come from outside the area is appropriate. The issue of legal ownership can be settled peacefully. The non-actually non-northerners who do crop agriculture in the area do not generate some outcry. Why? They do not Okwonesa. Crops do not corner other crops. 6. The patriotic Balalu that love Uganda so much that they move around in disorderly ways have invaded government ranches. This patriotic action stops the government from doing its planned projects, such as cattle breeding. It also instigates the locals to ask the question, if the government does not need the ranches, why do they allow us to settle in them? 7. Did these Balalus get legal cattle movement permits in the first place? The givers of these permits should always ensure that there is no problems, disease, ownership, etc. where the cattle are coming from, no problems where the cattle are going, diseases, space, Okwonesa, potential, etc. If the permits were legally given, why was the scarcity of water and lack of fencing, the Okwonesa, etc. checked? 8. Did they get cattle movement permits in the government ranches? Therefore, our great freedom fighter Andrew Mwenda should not misdirect his efforts about my executive orders condoning tribal chauvinism that fronts the Ugandans migrating legally to other areas. I know of a Munyoro woman, a Jerry, who is a big farmer in Nwoya growing fruits. She is very much loved from what I saw by the locals. The resentment by the locals and my executive orders are not about the legal and rational actors. They are both directed at the illegal and the irrational. 9. Northerners also colonize one another livestock eating crops. However, I hear that from them they have their local practices which are also common in other areas where you kusivika tying the offending cow until the owner comes to redeem it and pays a fine. However, apparently these justice measures cannot be followed by some of the arrogant balalo who come with their armed relatives from the army, and therefore the simple justice practices cannot apply to such powerful people. That is why they need executive order of the President of Uganda, signed by Yoweri K. Museveni Sabalwani.